Okay. Are you a student at the university?
Yes, I am a student at the university. We are also collective leadership here, but we are not full. Some are still on their way, representing our different constituencies.
And who are your constituencies?
My direct constituency is the South African Student Congress, as well as the ANC Youth League, as well as the Young Communist League. And then other constituencies is the EFF Student Command, PASMA, UDESMO, and Uprising.
And what do you aim to achieve?
What we aim to achieve is to transform this university, but our main goal is the language policy that we are willing to debate and discuss with the university. As you may or may not know, what is happening is here we have two mediums of instructions. We have Afrikaans, we have English. So we want a single medium of instruction, or we want medium of instruction in all official languages. But unfortunately, the latter option will not work because it's going to cost the university too much. So we want to scrape the Afrikaans ones that privileges a certain class or culture in South Africa. So we want all of us to be taught in English, basically.
Okay, what does Afrikaans represent to you?
It represents the oppressive apartheid regime we had before 1994, before the liberation of our country, before we received political freedom. And it represents the suppression of working class students. And one thing that we must also not forget is the fact that this is not a racial war. People mistaking this for being a racial war. It's not. It's an issue of a language that is suppressing the children of the working class, because there are special privileges given to this Afrikaans culture of this university, and that's what we want to do away with.
How does Afrikaans oppress the working class?
For instance, we have heard exam scopes of English students and Afrikaans-speaking students not being the same. Afrikaans-speaking students being given more exact exam scopes than others. But on other issues, we have quota systems in residences where Afrikaans cultures are given more leeway in entering our residences, as they comprise of 60% of Afrikaans cultures our residences, where the 40% is classified as others. Now, this is not only blacks. They are talking about Indians, they are talking about colors, they are talking about Chinese, and so on and so on. So this Afrikaans culture is because they also want to preserve their own Afrikaans things that they force upon us to just accept. And for some of our students, that are first years that actually live in these residences are also forced to do these Afrikaans cultures that they so much want to preserve. So this is how this oppressive nature is. And for instance, in the university, there are bursaries of descendants of Afrikaans people, Malan and descendants, where you have to prove to them that you are actually a descendant of a Malan that was of an oppressive nature, in order to get this funding of this university. While the child of the working class, there is no special privileges for them.
Okay, so are you saying that Afrikaans should be completely abolished?
Yes, we are saying Afrikaans should be completely abolished. Let us all be on an equal footing. Let there be English only. Regardless of which culture you come from, let us all study English. I'm Xhosa myself. We have some Tonga people, we have some Venda people here, but we all are forced to study in English. Why are they the only ones allowed to study in their own mother tongues?
But does that not privilege the English-speaking whites on the mother tongue English speakers on campus?
Well, to a great extent it does. But now what we need to realize is we are equipping ourselves here with the skills and knowledge of the university. And fortunately or unfortunately, English is the universally spoken language in the world, because our graduates are not only from South Africa, but they are also international students. So English is the international norm that we're looking for.
Do you think people should speak English in Europe as well?
Well, in Europe it's a different scenario, but what I've noticed in Europe is that people from Spain and your Italians, they don't actually know English. They rather stick to the Italians, because Europe is a different scenario that I can't really unpack as well as I can of my own country.
But maybe the Europeans should speak English too.
Perhaps they should. We had an opportunity to engage with some Germany speaking students who were transfer students in our lectures. So we got to speak a little bit, to learn a little bit about their culture. And the general consensus is in their European countries, they still speak their indigenous languages. Now, if that was the case in South Africa, then these 11 official languages must also be in formal institutions. That means that Afrikaans, English, and all other languages of South Africa. But like I said, the feasibility of that is not happening. It can't be because of resources that are lacking. So we are saying, let English be the universally accepted language, let us all speak it.
But now some of these Afrikaans students, they say they were oppressed by the English in the past and they were put in the concentration camps and so on. So to them, English is an oppressive language too. Well, what do you say to that?
Well, their war is a war of taking Africa, if I may put it that way. When the English and the Afrikaans were fighting, they were fighting to enslave the black child or the black man. So the victor there, in any case, ended up enslaving us. Now you must understand that we come from 100 years plus of an oppressed race, where many have fallen in the struggle for this. So now it can't be that 20 years into democracy, we have achieved the political freedom. We had negotiated and we had given up many things just to get this political freedom. Now it can't be that we still have an institution that operates outside of the Constitution of the Republic of South Africa, as it is happening in Stellenbosch as well. These are the only Stellenbosch, Potchefstroom, and University of Pretoria. These are the only universities that still have these oppressive natures of oppressing black students. Now we are saying, excuse me, now we are saying is, listen, we don't want Xhosa, we don't want Venda, we don't want any other language. We are saying we want English. Since English is accepted in institutions, since English is accepted on a global scale. Whether it's oppressed or not, what you must realize is every time there's a victory, unfortunately, some people would be at the back foot. But we are unapologetic about it. Whether they were oppressed by the English or not, we are not apologetic about it. That is not our problem. Our problem is a language policy that comprises of 11 cultures.
Do you think the Afrikaners belong in South Africa, or should they go back to Europe?
No, they are South Africans. They belong here with us. We just want to be equal. Like I told you, this is not...
They speak a different language, they have a different culture. Are they part of South Africa?
They are part of South Africa. We all speak our different cultures and different languages at home. You know, we are saying practice your culture, but can it not be in a formal institution where your future is dependent on?
So they should only speak it at home?
Yeah, practice it in your private places, as we also do it in our private places.
And what about the schools? The Afrikaans schools, should be abolished as well?
Well, the Afrikaans schools, the issue of Afrikaans schools, I mean, we had sat in a meeting yesterday as a collective leadership, and we had said it's fine. If they want to go to Afrikaans schools from primary to secondary school, let them. But once you enter an institution of higher learning, you must be well equipped, knowing very well that you will study only in English. You understand? Because I can make an example of the Eastern Cape, one of the poorest provinces in this country, whereby students that are in public schools are taught in indigenous languages because of the lack of skills. So even if they are doing mathematics or they are doing English, they are still taught in their indigenous languages. So they come here with a limited understanding of English. Yet they are forced to come and study these big terms here in English. We've all have done it, and we all are surviving. Why can't they? Why should they be given special privileges?
Well,
some of them say that their parents and grandparents finance this university.
They do, but we can never be held at ransom because of their grandparents financing this university. By the way, our bigger goal is to have a free education system, as Germany has did, as Chile has did. That is our bigger goal. So us, when you start talking issues about money and stakeholders of this university, which also happen to be Afrikaans people, we don't care about that. They can take their money and leave. We'll always find a way to survive. So whether it's their financing, their finance has never benefited us directly, in any case. Because all of us here, some of us here still have debts of the previous year. And some of us are not registered yet. But here we are, and we are fighting, and one way or another, we all shall become students of this university.
So when you say some of you are not registered yet, are they not registered students then?
No, they are students of this university, but they have a financial debt of last year. So they still are students of this university, still accepted in this university, but there's this financial issue of last year that still needs to be sorted out. But in the broader spectrum, what I'm trying to explain to you is Malan and descendant bursaries and stakeholders of these universities have never even gave a 2 cents about the African child. So it's fine. They can go discuss in their boardrooms, but ours is one. We want this language policy of this university to be transformed to represent the broader demographics of this country.
I see that you want the demography of South Africa to be represented at the university.
Yes.
So what would that mean? 80% black?
Well, necessarily, what I'm trying to avoid is let us not racialize it. But what I'm trying to tell you is when we want the demographics to be represented in this university, it cannot be that the majority in this country becomes a minority in this university because of their quota systems, because of their placement policies in residences, because of when you want employment in this university, you have to speak Afrikaans and English. Otherwise, you will not get. Those are the only two options. So we are saying abolish Afrikaans, that is limiting our students that can be able to work in this very same institution, limiting our prospective students that want to come and study here, but this Afrikaans is blocking the way.
Are they forcing you to study in Afrikaans?
No, they are not forcing us to study in Afrikaans, but the issue here is being Afrikaans being the only other option. So if a student is coming from a province such as Limpopo and he or she does not understand English, Afrikaans must forget. Where must the student go? Because we also want to be in these affluent universities, we also want to get our degrees and so on and so on. So we are saying, let us all have an equal footing. This is a fight for equality. Let us all have an equal footing. Afrikaans, Xhosa, English, the likes. Let us all speak one language. Let us all be instructed in one language. Let the placement policies represent the democracy of this country. Because it cannot be that 60% of people living in these fine residences are Afrikaans speaking students when they are living 10 kilometers away from this university. We have people traveling from afar, from the likes of UKZN, KZN, coming here and not finding places to sleep because of these resident placement policies.
Are there universities in KZN as well?
There's a university in each and every province, almost each and every province, yes.
Now why don't KZN people go to
KZN?
Yeah.
No, we can't be limited like that. Just because you're from KZN, it doesn't mean you have to study in KZN. Perhaps this university offers that unique course that you want to study. I myself am from the Eastern Cape, but I'm not in the Nelson Mandela Metropolitan University. Some of us here, he's from Limpopo, but he's not in the University of Limpopo. Because we also want these affluent universities. Because the fact of the matter is this: when you graduate from this university, you already added some sort of an advantage towards getting employment. Because universities are also classed, and this happens to be one of the best universities in Africa.
But some of the English-speaking people I spoke to, they say the Afrikaners are stupid and therefore you should rather study at Wits or UCT, university like that.
Yeah, Afrikaners, I don't know what they should do. If they don't want to comply with us, it's up to them whether they want to drop out or whatever. But the fact of the matter is they do not have a financial matter. Some of us are here to study to get employment so that we can afford a good life, a normal life rather. So they drop out. They have resources from back home. Every time there's a strike here about a finance issue, about a residence issue, you should see the demographics. How come these Afrikaners are never there to strike with us? Are they always given these things they want? Especially this thing of residences, that is a very deep issue that is touching. Students are sleeping in the library, students are sleeping under bridges because they can't get placement here. While students with cars living in this country, living in this city, 2 kilometers away, are placed here. Look at all these cars. These are all student cars. But yet they are here. Some of us here had to take taxis just to get here to this university. But again, I'm saying that let us not deviate from our immediate goal. Our immediate goal right now is the language policy. This is not a race issue. This is not a cultural issue. All we are saying is let us not be forced towards this culture. This culture represents an oppressive nature of this country. We are saying, let us all speak English. Even if you listen here, most of us here are black, but we are all speaking with each other English.
Then we must call him a don't sell it, must bring a bag here.
And it should be like that for the world, for South Africa and for the world.
Our immediate goal is South Africa. The world shall see itself.
I don't know who's advising you guys.
Ours is here in the Republic. It can't be 20 years into democracy we are still oppressed.
But when you hear Afrikaans on the campus, do you feel oppressed?
No, they can speak the Afrikaans. What you don't get me, sir, is I'm not saying now we must not hear someone not speaking Afrikaans. No, they can speak the Afrikaans. If I'm working with a closer friend, I'll speak my closer. But when it comes to formal communication with the university and instruction, it must be English. We don't want emails of English and Afrikaans. We don't want our reports to be written in English and Afrikaans. We don't want our course codes to be written in English and Afrikaans. It can't be that a student is doing maths of third year level and maths is abbreviated with WTW. WTW stands for Wiskunde in Afrikaans. It can't be. We are saying formal instruction of university must be English and English only. No other options. And that will assist the broader perspectives that we want of these cultures, of these quota systems, of the employment policy of the universities, and so on and so on.